Welcome to The Reconnect with Carmen LaBerge. We're applying the mind of Christ to the matters of the day so that you can connect the eternal with the everyday and get ready to head out into the world that God so loves in ways that honor Jesus. So let's get started. This is The Reconnect.
Your daily encouragement that God has the world in the hollow of his hand.
This is The Reconnect with Carmen LaBerge on Faith Radio.
If we're gonna fly, we fly like eagles, arms out wide. If we're gonna fear, we fear no evil. We will rise. By your power we will go. By your spirit we are bold. If we're gonna stand, we stand as giants. If we're gonna walk, we walk as lions.
Hello, my friend. The word of the day is shwen shui. Go ahead. It's a little party for your mouth. Go ahead and try to say it. Shwen shui. I am thinking the first part of the word is pronounced like the bicycle. And then, I think you can do shui pretty easily. Shwen shui. Now, it's spelled Xuanxue. So it's counterintuitive for those of us who think in English. It's a Chinese term. Why is Carmen talking about a Chinese term, shwen shui, on the Reconnect? Well, because 5 billion people are using this term on social media sites in China, and I feel like if 5 billion people are talking about something, we should probably be at least knowing about it. So, this is from some CNN reporting, but you can find it elsewhere as well. Young people in China are now buying the promise of inner peace. So that's a huge consumeristic culture in China. And now, instead of just luxury and luxury logoed kinds of items, they want things that promise peace. They want things that promise something deeper. I want you to think about that for just a moment. They have learned generationally to self-soothe through consumption, but their consumerism has shifted from things that are just luxury branded and logoed to things that they regard as having, and get this, quote, a unique identity. You heard me right. Things with a unique identity. So, lucky, quote unquote, lucky accessories, crystals, Zen-inspired fashion, fragrances, all of it designed to touch you emotionally. And they're also spending money on quote unquote spiritual experiences, weekends at a Buddhist temple, or quote restorative wellness retreats, particular kinds of baths. So shwen shui is the economy. So hashtag shwen shui. It is literally spiritual things for sale. Now, if that sounds to you like the selling of idols in the Bible, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Wide range of price points, but I think what's really important to note here is that those who they're seeking to attract is the luxury market. These are already young people spending thousands and thousands of dollars on luxury items. And so we're talking about luxury brands now branding for spiritual items. I want you to think about that for just a moment. And so you say, well, what specifically are we talking about? Well, we're talking about Cartier. We're talking about Cartier and an 18-karat white gold bracelet that purportedly protects you from misfortune. It's $5,000. How about an 18-karat rose gold diamond Tiffany T-bangle for $7,000? Why would you have that? Well, because it's going to ward off lousy bosses and open up new job opportunities. Yes, really, that's the advertising. Quilin's Wooloo jewelry collection has things that are fashioned in the shape of bottles, supposedly to bring good fortune to your family. I mean, there are orbed necklaces thought to benefit your career. Van Cleef and Arpels have this very popular 4-leaf clover collection. Those start at $2,000 for just a simple pendant. You say to yourself, who's spending this kind of money? Billions of people. Billions. And so what are they promising? Well, these accessories serve as, quote, emotional armor amid economic uncertainty. Young people are no longer paying for a product. They are paying for a form of self-definition. They are looking for an emotional container. I want you to just think about that language. It's also gone mainstream. Brands like Lululemon and Burger King are in on it. And you say, well, how could Burger King be in on an emotional market? Yeah, well, they have partnered with a Taoist site for the Lunar New Year, and they have a God of Wealth figurine that is available with their fast food meal deal. Just an extra $5.62 or 38 won. Burger King is in on the Xuan Shui, hashtag Xuan Shui market. So why bring this up? Because there's an opportunity here. We know what idolatry looks like. It's all over the Bible. You can't buy it. You can't have a little talisman that is going to create inner peace. People are longing for the peace which surpasses all understanding. They're longing for God. They just don't know it. And so this is an opportunity, I think, to press in. And this article that I'm looking at CNN also goes on to talk about temple tourism and all of the ways in which fortune telling and reading your aura reading and tarot cards, these are all huge booming markets, soul reading sessions. And I just want you to think for a moment about the opportunity that we as Christians have to press into this spiritual longing. People are very open right now about their spiritual desperation. They know there's a void in their life. They want the peace which surpasses all understanding. People are searching for peace, inner peace. And you and I know it can't be bought. It's not silver or gold. No figurine, no talisman is going to give you what only God can give you. People are literally broadcasting their desire, hashtag Xuan Shui. They're literally wearing it on their sleeve or their neck or their wrist. So let me just say, as directly as possible, people don't need another piece of jewelry. They also don't need another piece of your mind. What they need, what they desperately want, what they're even willing to pay for, has already been paid for. It's the peace of Christ. And it doesn't just surpass all understanding. It surpasses every effort at fakery that's out there in the world today. So go out there today and give people what you already have. Freely you have received. Freely give. Pass along to someone else what you in turn have also received. The very peace of Christ. Our friend Adam Holz is going to join us next. And we're going to talk about some other things on the cultural radar. You're listening to The Reconnect. Hello, my friend. Joining us now is Adam Holz from Focus on the Family's Plugged In. Hey, Adam.
Good morning, Carmen.
Good morning. So, Xuan Shui. Xuan Shui.
Xuan Shui.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We are hungry for transcendence. Mm-hmm. And we are made in God's image. We will seek some sort of connection, experience of the transcendent. We can't not seek it. No matter what you believe, you will seek it. And we do it in lots of ways. And this is, I think, as you so clearly pointed out, this is just evidence of our desperate desire to connect with a story that is bigger than our own. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, but not surprising. And as you said, that sort of just raw, on your sleeve desire to connect. There's an opening there, right? As you rightly pointed out, if we see these things, if you have a relationship with somebody, I think that is an opportunity to talk about, what this thing represents to you and why you would purchase it, why you would wear it.
I would like for you to help me know how to feel if some young person calls me an NPC.
Well, Carmen, you are a lot of things, but you are not an NPC. NPC is an acronym for non-player character. It is a phrase that was popularized probably first in Dungeons and Dragons way, way, way back in the day. This is an acronym that's been around probably since the 70s or 80s. But a non-player character is somebody who is in the story. And in role-playing games, you have a game master or a dungeon master who creates the story, and you have people who play characters. So those are PCs. Those are player characters. A non-player character is simply somebody who exists in the story, who is controlled by the game master, who moves the story along. They might be compared to the red shirts in Star Trek, right? They're there for a purpose, but they are not the main fulcrum of the story, and nobody ever gets confused about them. Okay, so that's like the super nerdist literal definition of an NPC. Why we're talking about it is that it has now become something of a name-calling slur. To call somebody an NPC is to basically say, you are not a primary character in your story or anybody else's story, and nobody cares about you. And it will not come as a surprise that non-player characters in role-playing games often meet with, horrible ends of various kinds. And so to call somebody a non-player character, it's not quite to wish death on them, but it basically is to nullify their story, their personhood, their significance. It's a really nerdy way to say something that actually is quite mean. And so if somebody calls you an NPC or you hear your kids describing people that way, I think that we can approach it as believers from, the point of our dignity and being created in God's image. That none of us are non-player characters, right? We're all player characters. We're all people. We're more than characters, for that matter. We are all living out the story that God has for us, whether we're aware of that and aware of Him or not. So anyway, I confess that I played and have played Dungeons and Dragons and some other things in my youth, and there was a brief resurgence a few years ago, and my kids were kind of interested. So that is the extraordinarily nerdy answer to that question.
Okay, well, I learned about it on the radar over at Focus on the Family's Plugged In. And so if you're listening right now, we're talking with Adam Holz, and I am surveying things over at pluggedin.com. I am currently on the radar blog. And so I'm on the radar blog. And there's something here about Mr. Rogers. What?
Yeah.
There's what? We can now watch Mr. Rogers again? Where?
Yeah, on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to re-airing episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Debuted in, just last month in June. There are 5 episodes there, and they plan to add an additional episode each week. And given the fact that the show was on the air for 30
Forever.
years, 40 years? I mean, basically from now until Jesus returns, there will be new episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on this particular YouTube channel. And if you go to our On the Radar for July 4th. It is the last of 3 stories, and you can click on the link there to get the actual YouTube channel address.
Yes. Although it's not hard to find because it's at Mr.
No.
Rogers' neighborhood.
So there you go.
Which I just
there
think,
you go.
I'm just saying, like,
Carmen's-
yes. Well, we're going to send you the link
You
to...
short-circuited my very clever ploy to get people to go to our website, but
Well,
whatever.
here's my even more clever ploy. On the text line at 877-933-2484, we're going to send you the link to pluggedin.com's On the Radar blog for July the 4th, and you can scroll down and click on the link to Mr. Rogers on YouTube. There you go. Hey, let's take a very brief break. When we come back, I would like for you to remind us of the Theology of series, and then I want you to talk with us about the theology of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Could we do that?
Yes, we
Awesome.
can do that. Yes.
So that's what's up next here on the Reconnect. Our friend Adam Holz is here, and we're going to talk about the theology of what we're watching, and then specifically hone in on the theology of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You're listening to The Reconnect. When was the last time someone asked you to pray for them? When's the last time you asked someone to pray for you? Here at Faith Radio, we pray with and for you about the concerns in your life, and we share with you the concerns of others. We are a praying people. So we want to invite you to share your prayer request with us. Our team prays continually and intentionally once a week for the requests that we receive. And so share your prayer requests with Faith Radio by texting or calling 877-933-2484. You can share your prayer requests with us, and you can be confident that we are praying for you. Not to be confused with Avatar, the movie or movie series. We're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. Our friend Adam Holz is here from Focus on the Family's Plugged In. First of all, Adam, what is the theology of series, and then what is the theology of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
So we have been working on this theology of series for a number of years now, where we take big entertainment franchises and try to take a very, very deep dive theologically into the spiritual ideas that are in play there. So we've done Lost, we've done Pokemon, we've done Star Wars, Chronicles of Narnia, we've done some video games like Fire Emblem, we've done movie series like Final Destination, we've done role-playing games like Warhammer 40K. So we're trying to look at franchises that have a huge fan base and that have more than one property in most cases, and say, okay, what is it that you need to know about this? And it's structured similarly but differently than our normal reviews. So we'll do an introduction to the series, overarching spiritual worldview, and then a glossary of important characters and topics. So it's almost an encyclopedic look at things. Kennedy Unthank has been our primary steward of this feature on the website. And Avatar: The Last Airbender is definitely a property that needs this sort of treatment. This was a show that was on Nickelodeon in 2005. It ran for 61 episodes, was very much a beloved, an incredibly popular series. There was a movie in 2010. There's another movie coming out now. There was another series in 2012, and there's now a live action adaptation that is currently appearing on Netflix. It started in 2024. And there's enough deep spiritual stuff here that I would commend the full article to your attention. But at the core of it, it revolves around the idea that there are 4 elements: water, earth, fire, and air. And there are particular people who are gifted in bending or sort of magically appropriating those elements as they are engaged in a larger spiritual battle. So I was familiar with that, but even just reading this article that Kennedy wrote, there is an incredibly intricate creation story. There's a story of 2 essentially deity-like figures that battle each other over and over again. It involves reincarnation. So there is a lot going on here. If you have somebody who's interested, I think you'll want to read this because I think it's going to be important to just have a conversation about some of the ideas here. I think this is a great example of a story that mainstreams a concept like reincarnation. That definitely is something that shows up here, but it's extraordinarily detailed, and the work that Kennedy has done on this, I think, is remarkable.
So, you guys have been at this a while over at Focus on the Families Plugged In, and so if I were to, reach back in time and withdraw something from the deep archives, like in, I don't know, 2013,
Yeah.
I could pull up something on Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh boy. Yeah, you could.
Okay. But yes.
Yes.
And come to find out, Grand Theft Auto 6
It's on the way.
is now on the way. So I'm just putting
Yes.
that on your radar
Yep.
because the people are going to want to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Grand Theft Auto, I mean, it's staggering to me that it's taken them 13 years to do the next one because Grand Theft Auto 5 was one of the biggest video game events of all time, and it remains one of the biggest and most problematic video games of all time. So when number 6 finally drops, it's coming soon. I don't know that I have seen an actual release date, but I know it's very close. Yeah, we will be talking about it, definitely.
Yeah. Well, just for those of you listening, you're not even aware of it. It's a game. And
Yes, it's a video
Grand
game.
Theft Auto 5 has generated over $8.5 billion in lifetime revenue. 230
Yep.
million people play it worldwide, apparently,
Yep.
like actively.
Yes.
There are already 39 million pre-orders for, well, actually, that was 2 weeks ago. It's probably higher
Yeah.
now.
It's probably
Um,
higher now.
Yeah, they made more than $1 billion in sales in the first 3 days of their pre-orders. Like it's just the money is crazy. So
Yeah.
yes, we're putting that on the radar. Hey, are there any reviews?
And it comes
that you
out
feel like-
November 19th, by the way. I just
Mhm.
looked it up.
November
Go ahead.
19th. So like Thanksgiving week. Well, okay,
Yes.
but I mean this is crazy. Like people are already apparently putting in for paid time off. Like they want
Right.
that week off just so they can play the game.
Yeah. And
Like, when you
it's
think
sort
of-
of like, think of it like a modern urban crime fighting or crime participating, more of the latter.
You only make
kind of-
money if you do illegal things, apparently.
Yeah,
in
you've
Grand
got to
Theft
do
Auto.
you've got to do bad things. Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, from a worldview perspective, not good, not healthy, and yet, trust me, you know someone that has pre-ordered it, and you know people who are going to play it. And if you've wondered
Well-
why people are taking that week off of work, it's so they can play the game.
And it really, one of the more infamous things about it was that it has prostitutes that you can use and murder and discard, and it has this sort of gleeful mistreatment of anybody you want in the game in terms of killing them, running them over, doing horrible things to them, all sorts of M-rated / R-rated content. And then there were, secret things that you could unlock that were even more explicit that people added to the game later on. So it's definitely one of the most foul video games ever created. And it's an open world concept, which means you can play it literally for hundreds or thousands of hours and never, exhaust the storyline, so to speak.
And it's multiplayer. Like you can play it with other
Right.
people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've now exhausted the information that I have on this subject that I garnered from my nephew Larry in the last few days. So, but I now know that I want to know more. So I am putting that on our collaborative radar for the coming weeks and months. Okay.
You got it. And I will talk
Okay.
to our people and say we need to do an update on it.
Talk to your people. I love that you have people. Like I love that you
I do have people. Yes.
Okay, is there anything on the reviews that you're like, if we don't talk about that, we've missed the opportunity?
Well, we have the Moana live action remake, and I think it's just worth noting that it's out. It's a beat for beat remake. You might ask, why is Disney remaking a movie that just came out 10 years ago? I'll give you a fun fact. It is the most streamed movie across all platforms in the last 5 years, with 80 billion minutes combined of watching the original animated version from 2016. So that is why Disney's like, there's still money on the table. Let's give them another one.
Both Moana and its sequel, Moana 2, among the most streamed movies of all time. That is
Yep.
extraordinary and amazing. Okay. Well, there you go.
There
Adam,
you go.
as always, thank you so much for being with us on the Reconnect. It's a delight.
You bet. We need to like have a longer segment because we barely even touched what we had planned to talk about. So we'll be back next week for more.
That's the good news. Adam will be back. Adam, there's this theory of listenership where you always leave them wanting a little more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we're just going to leave them wanting a little more today.
That's right. That's
All right.
right.
Blessings, brother.
There's more to
Thank
talk
you
about.
so much.
Thanks, Carmen.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have we left you wanting a little more today? That's okay, right? How do you feel that way about church? When a worship service ends, are you like, "Oh, I just wish there were more." See, that'd be good. It'd be really good if we felt that way at the our Sunday school class is coming to an end and we're like, "No! I want more." Just a thought. You and I are going to spend a little time together. It is Friday. We're going to do the Friday Farm Report. And then, yes, I'm going to do a few headlines, which we haven't spent much time on today. But here's a dun, dun, dun. There's a new plot from Iran targeting the U.S. president. So I feel like that is something that we should know about and have on our prayer radar. So you and I will spend some time together next. We'll do the Friday Farm Report. You're listening to The Reconnect. Corn. You know, if you only plant corn, you only get corn. I'm Carmen LaBerge. This is the Friday Farm Report. So our corn is very robust. We haven't started picking, but that's kind of fun. And then other things in the Friday Farm Report. You only need one zucchini hill. I don't know if you've known this in the past, but one is enough. You can only eat so much zucchini. There's just only so many ways. I mean, there are kind of an unlimited number of ways to eat zucchini, but by like a month into the zucchini season, you're like, enough with the zucchini. Okay, I have a lot of huge zucchini right now. So zucchini is on the menu at the LaBerge farm for a while. Also tomatoes. Our tomatoes are fantastic. There's a lot of them, so I'm probably going to start freezing them, because there's no way we can eat all the fresh tomatoes we have. Also, this is the first year in a number of years. Like, I can't remember the last time we had enough blackberries to actually put any away. And so I'm excited to report that we have blackberries this year that are big and beautiful and juicy and more than more than a pint. So that's really fun. We've also started picking apples, and so it won't be long before we start pressing apples, and that's the way we get our cider, and then that also produces all of this debris. I don't know. I'm sure it has a name. All of the stuff that's left after you've pressed the apples, it doesn't have any juice left in it, but it's still all of this good debris, apple debris. And I then like to make something called redemption muffins out of that apple debris. And so those are on the horizon. We also have tons of grapes on the vine. I don't know that we almost never get a grape harvest because the squirrels eat them all, but we'll see. We'll see how that comes out. Peaches are promising as well. Now, there's bad news in the watermelon patch. Well, it's not bad news if you're a rabbit. It's bad news if you're a human. There will be no watermelons. We have so many rabbits this year. I don't really know why we have I do know why we have so many rabbits. I know the biology of that, but it's unusual for us to have this many bunnies. There's just bunnies everywhere, and they have eaten all of our watermelon plants. So I have that to report as well. So there you go. I understand that it is rhubarb season where many of my friends live, and so I'm happy for you. I'm sad for me. I do love rhubarb, and so enjoy your rhubarb and think of me while you're eating it. All right, that's the Friday Farm Report today. Nikki in Hastings, Nikki's on the text line. She says, oh, the love of zucchini. Everybody in my neighborhood gets daily loaves of zucchini bread. From you? Nikki, are you making zucchini bread? Okay, well, I do have zucchini bread on my list of options for the weekend. So there you have it. Okay, Jeff says, you got to lock your car in the church parking lot when the zucchini are ready because people put zucchini in your car. Jeff, it's an inspired idea, my friend. I might be looking for unlocked cars in the parking lot. Nikki says that her nephew brought zucchini and watermelon. I love that. That is so much fun. Andrew is offering up a rabbit chasing dog. Andrew, I have two dogs. I have two dogs. They're very good at digging holes. They are not good at chasing rabbits. They may be chasing the rabbits, but the dogs are on the opposite side of the fence from the watermelon patch, so that might be the issue. The dogs are in the orchard where hopefully they're chasing squirrels away from the fruit trees. Like that's sort of the dog idea. Oh, goodness. Grace in Sioux Falls. The text line is open and people are taking advantage of it. 877-933-2484. Grace says that she wants to live on my farm. Grace, there's a lot of mowing to be done. So if you like mowing and you like shepherding chickens, yes, farming is wonderful. Let's see. Oh, have I ever made zucchini flour? No, I don't know anything about zucchini flour. Do you dry it and grind it? I know nothing about that, Mary from Spokane, so I might know. And then Robert has all kinds of recipes here that feature rabbit. We're probably not doing that. Well, I see. Everybody is in on the text line today. 877-933-2484. Why have we not fenced the watermelon? So many fences. There's only so many places that I can put up a fence. If you saw yes, it's like a maze already. And so the garden part of the garden is fenced off to keep the chickens out, which also is effective in keeping the bunnies out. But, yes, you are correct. We could have put a fence up around the watermelon patch. But yeah, there's just a lot going on. And you can only do so much. So there you go. I better do a couple of headlines because this is actually why some people pay attention to the Reconnect. Okay, so I could share this with you from a number of different sources today, and it's kind of leading the headlines on most outlets. And it is this. There's a report explaining why the president of the United States left Ankara on a different airplane than the one he arrived on. So I'm just going to read a paragraph from the Wall Street Journal. Israel shared new intelligence with the United States that indicated a fresh Iranian plan targeting to kill the president of the United States, Donald Trump. So people who are familiar with the matter said that there was an escalation in terms of the threat, and therefore the threat was assessed to be significant. The president knows he is, number one on the hit list in terms of the Iranians. And part of that, goes back to retaliation against President Trump for the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. You'll remember that, the top general in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The president of the United States, ordered that hit to be accomplished during his first term. Earlier this week, President Trump alluded to threats to his life. He did that while he was speaking to reporters in Ankara, Turkey. He says, of course, they want to take out the U.S. leader, and that is me. And so I'm sure that as there are conversations about, well, you have this fancy new Air Force One airplane. Well, if that's the plane that is being targeted, then why not take another plane? Especially, if you got a backup. So there you go. I think that from a Christian worldview, we should note this. Like, you are always in the enemy's crosshairs. You are always on the hit list. And you may say to yourself, well, I'm not a high profile target. I'm not sure that the enemy of God sees any one of us as any more strategic than any other, because he just wants to bring us all down. So if you've thought, well, I'm not a very high profile target, and so the enemy's probably not paying attention to me, you're wrong. The enemy is prowling around your life right now looking for a way in. Why? Because he wants to kill and steal and destroy your life. That's what Jesus says. The enemy comes to kill and steal and destroy. I have come that you might have life and have it abundantly. And so I want you to recognize that this is an opportunity. The fact that the president of the United States is on the top of a hit list surprises probably no one, but it does give us as Christians an opportunity to talk about the fact that you're on the enemy's hit list right now. And you probably need to do a fresh threat assessment. And you need to look for those places where the enemy, as he prowls around your life looking for a way in, like, where are the soft spots? Where would you target your life if you were the enemy? If you were the devil, what would you do to take you out? And that's where you need to shore up your defenses. And that's where you probably need to be talking with others in the Christian community. And you need to say, I need you to be my rear guard here on this. I need you to walk with me, because I know the enemy's targeting me in this way. All right, let's take a brief break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about what might be learned from the failed candidacy of Graham Plattner in Maine. Like, that's just the story of the devolution of a human being who's, he's now being found out for all the terrible things that he's done in the past. And the Bible has some things to say about that. Delta Airlines is also launching basic first class and business class. Like, they're upgrading first class and the perks that people are getting up there. And so, I don't know, do you want to be in first class? What class are you in now? That's up next here on The Reconnect. All right, so you've got a pack of cards. You've heard of a pack of wolves. Maybe you have a backpack. You got a lot of packs in your life. But have you ever gotten a Faith Radio welcome pack? I mean, you might be brand new to Faith Radio, or you might just be new-ish, but either way, if you've never gotten a welcome pack, we'd like to welcome you. So text the word welcome to 877-933-2484 or visit myfaithradio.com and request your very own welcome pack today. Well, what might we learn from the very public disgrace of Graham Plattner? I appreciated what Hugh Hewitt said on his program. He was talking about what the Bible actually says. And he says, specifically in the Gospel of Luke, you ought to be looking at chapter 8, verse 17. If you're thinking about running for office, you should take up this Bible verse very specifically. And here it is. For nothing is secret that will not be revealed, nor anything hidden that will not be known and come to light. He said, now more than ever, every candidate must be warned again and again that Luke 8:17 is true, very true. It's inevitable. Everything you've ever done is going to come to light. It's called opposition research. And there was a lot of opposition research, or oppo, done on Graham Plattner prior to the first round of voting in Maine. But in the spirit of keeping your powder dry, all of that opposition research was not released until he actually became, the until his name was on the ballot, until he became the candidate, because that's when the opposition research is ultimately most effective, because now, there's a mad scramble among the Democrats to figure out whose name is going to replace his on the ballot opposing Susan Collins. So there's politics all around. But I really appreciated Hugh Hewitt just lifting up a verse of scripture, Luke 8:17. Nothing is secret that will not be revealed. Nothing is hidden that's not going to be made known. It's all coming to the light. And I think that's a good reminder for each of us and all of us. None of us could withstand the kind of total exposure that, that a person running for office is under, because nobody is Jesus. However, the entire exercise of the Christian life, literally the point of it, is that we would become, moment by moment, by one degree of glory to another, more and more Jesus-y, more like Jesus, more Christ-like, more like Christ. And in him there is no darkness. And so he can withstand total exposure. He can withstand the kind of scrutiny that public exposure reveals. Delta Airlines is launching, quote, basic first class and business class tickets, promising, quote, the same premium in-flight experience, like incredible perks. And so I think that it's interesting that airlines are recognizing they can't make more money by creating more and more sort of, quote, cheap seats. And so they are making the premium experiences, increasingly premium. And I just think that it's an opportunity for us as Christians to remind ourselves and others, there's no class system in the Christian faith. There's no first class. There's no economy class. It's literally the issue that Paul is addressing in the church in Corinth in both the 1st and 11th chapters of 1 Corinthians. In 1 Corinthians, he addresses the issue of social standing. He's reminding the Corinthians of their actual social makeup. He says, look, not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were powerful. Not many were of noble birth. But choosing what the world deemed foolish and weak, God intentionally flattens out every human hierarchy in order that no one can boast. It's literally what Paul is addressing in 1 Corinthians chapter 1. And then in 1 Corinthians 11, Paul is dealing with the way that the wealthy are arriving early for the koinonia, for the supper, and they're eating their own abundant, rich food and drinking heavily. And meanwhile, the poorer members of the Christian community, who were often slaves and laborers, and so didn't have the kind of time that the rich had, they arrived later and there was nothing left, and they went hungry. And Paul is noting that this division is like, look, this is not who we are, and this is not how we behave. And he demanded equal treatment and mutual respect for people of, every quote unquote class. So what would Jesus have to say about any of this? Well, he talked about it in the parable of the wedding banquet in Luke chapter 14, where he advises guests, look, don't be the person who wants to sit in first class. Don't be the person who pushes for the best seat. Because then if a more distinguished person arrives, a person with a higher status, medallion, blah, 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 you're going to be asked to move down, causing public embarrassment. Instead, sit in the lowest place. So, the host can honor you by moving you up. If you've ever been moved up to first class, you know what Jesus is talking about here. So the core lesson here is one of humility. Jesus summarizes it this way. Everybody who exalts themselves is going to be humbled. And those who humble themselves, they will be exalted. Hey, and just to be clear, eventually, if you're in Christ, you're in first class. What a day of rejoicing that will be, right? I hope that you plan to spend eternity in heaven. with me as a brother or sister in Christ. And maybe, my seat will be next to yours. Wouldn't that be fun? Thanks for spending time with me today here on The Reconnect. I'm Carmen LaBerge. I thoroughly enjoy the time that we spend together. I love talking with you about the things that are happening in the world and bringing the mind of Christ to bear. I trust that it's a blessing to you and could, by your extension, be a blessing to somebody else. Maybe you could pass what you've heard today along to someone else. You could certainly use what you've heard today in the conversations that you're going to have in the day ahead. But if you think it would be helpful, share the show with someone else. It's going to be posted as a podcast, in almost no time flat. And you should be subscribed to The Reconnect as a podcast anyway, wherever you get your podcasts. So you can follow us on Apple Podcasts. It'd be great if you left us a rating there, especially if it's 5 stars. You could post a review of The Reconnect wherever you get your podcast. Maybe you listen on Spotify. You could give us a follow. Click the notifications there so you don't ever miss an episode. Certainly, you could subscribe to The Reconnect with Carmen. We have a YouTube channel. There's all kinds of opportunities. Wherever it is that you listen to audio media, I'd love for you to follow us on The Reconnect and share the show on your own social media. Say, hey, I heard something here that I think would be a benefit. Maybe it's the conversation that we had with Dan Bennett or the one we had with Chris Martin. Maybe it was just a particular riff today about, I don't know, Schwinn Shui. Could be anything, right? Something that spoke to you today, and you want to pass it along to someone else. That would be such a gift to me if you would be willing to do that. Pass along to others what you in turn have also received. Whatever blessing it is that you have received through this ministry, could you extend it to someone else? That would be wonderful. At the end of the show every single day, we conclude with a blessing. And I tend to use the blessing from the book of Numbers, where we talk about the Lord blessing and keeping you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. But there are a number of blessings in Scripture that we might use as well. And I thought today I might read the blessing from Ephesians chapter 3. May Christ dwell in your heart through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may have strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and the length and the height and the depth, to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Everybody's full of something. I want you to be full. I want you to be full. Filled with all the fullness of God. How does that happen? Well, it happens when Christ dwells within you by faith, filling your heart, filling your mind, filling your mouth, filling you in terms of your heart's desire, filling you to the brim. The world's going to squeeze you today, so what's going to come out? I hope it's the grace and the truth and the peace of Christ which surpasses all understanding. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, and God bless. Thanks for listening to The Reconnect with Carmen LaBerge. Let us know how we can help you more fully reconnect the eternal with the everyday. We want to walk with you throughout your journey of discipleship, so let's connect. You can text us at 877-933-2484 or connect with us online at myfaithradio.com and on all our social media. I look forward to connecting with you as we each seek to reconnect the eternal with the everyday.